Chapter 30. Adelmo stepped outside into the bright sunlight, his eyes squinting as they adjusted to the sudden change. As he glanced around, his gaze fell upon a sign with his name on it, held by a driver waiting nearby. Curiosity piqued, he approached the driver and introduced himself, explaining that he was the one the driver was sent to pick up. The driver nodded with a warm smile and replied, "Your grandfather sent me. Can I assist you with your bags?" Adelmo shook his head, a sense of independence swelling within him. "No need, I'll manage," he responded confidently, clutching onto his belongings tightly. The driver courteously opened the car door for Adelmo, who gracefully slid into the comfortable seat. As the driver settled into the driver's seat, the engine roared to life, and they embarked on their journey. As the car glided along the road, Adelmo's mind wandered, replaying the events of the previous night. He couldn't help but marvel at how he had slept through the chaos and violence that had unfolded. Questions swirled in his mind, wondering why the creature had spared him while attacking others. Lost in thought, Adelmo concluded that perhaps his stillness had deceived the creature into thinking he was lifeless. Before he knew it, they arrived at his grandfather's house. The driver skillfully parked the car and stepped out, opening the door for Adelmo. Grateful, Adelmo thanked the driver and made his way towards the front door, eager to reunite with his beloved grandfather. Adelmo stood outside the door, his heart pounding with anticipation. He had heard so much about his grandfather's house, and now he was finally here. He took a deep breath and knocked, the sound echoing through the quiet hallway. The door swung open, revealing a kind-faced maid who greeted him warmly. "Adelmo, I am so happy to finally meet you," she exclaimed. "Your grandfather has told me so much about you. Please come in, come in." As Adelmo stepped inside, the maid led him through the house, her footsteps echoing on the polished wooden floors. They entered the living room, a cozy space filled with comfortable furniture and shelves adorned with photographs. The maid gestured towards a plush armchair and asked Adelmo to please be seated. "Make yourself at home," she said with a smile, before disappearing to fetch his grandfather. Left alone in the room, Adelmo's eyes wandered to the photographs that adorned the walls. He couldn't help but be drawn to one in particular, its vibrant colors and picturesque scenery capturing his attention. As he picked it up, his grandfather entered the room, a warm smile on his face. "Beautiful picture, isn't it?" he remarked. Adelmo nodded, his gaze fixed on the image. "Yes, it is," he replied. "But why does it look so familiar?" His grandfather's eyes twinkled with nostalgia as he answered, "You were there, my boy. You were just a young fellow, about 5 or 6 years old." Adelmo's eyes widened in surprise. "I always thought this place never existed," he confessed. "It looks too perfect to be real." His grandfather chuckled softly. "Indeed, it is a place that truly exists, but it is also quite unusual. How was your flight?" Adelmo sighed, his mind still filled with the strange events of his journey. "It was awful," he admitted, "but at least I made it here, even though there was something that happened that I couldn't explain because I slept through the flight." As Adelmo's grandfather inquired about the events that unfolded, his voice filled with concern and curiosity. "What happened then?" he asked, his eyes fixed on Adelmo, eager to hear the details. Adelmo, still shaken by the incident, recounted the chilling experience. "When I finally awoke from my slumber on the plane, a wave of horror washed over me as I beheld a gruesome sight. Blood was splattered everywhere, staining the once pristine cabin." Adelmo's response was carefully crafted, his mind racing to find the right words that wouldn't make his grandfather question his sanity. He didn't want to burden his beloved grandfather with the notion that people might think he was delusional. The witnesses who managed to survive the ordeal claimed that it was some kind of creature, but they couldn't discern its true nature, Adelmo explained, his voice tinged with a mix of uncertainty and fear. He hoped his grandfather would understand the gravity of the situation without dismissing it as mere fantasy. Sensing the need to shift the conversation to a lighter note, Adelmo's grandfather reassured him and offered a respite from the unsettling events. "All right, my dear Adelmo, let's put this behind us for now. Take some time to settle in and explore the charming town. Tomorrow morning, Over a cup of steaming coffee, we will delve into our family's rich history, his grandfather suggested warmly. With a sense of relief, Adelmo agreed, eager to immerse himself in the town's enchanting atmosphere. All right, I'll look forward to our conversation tomorrow morning then. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you around, Adelmo replied, a glimmer of hope returning to his eyes as they both walked away, ready to embrace the adventures that awaited them. As Adelmo arrived at his accommodation, the maid warmly greeted him and escorted him to his room. She made sure he had everything he needed and then excused herself to attend to her other duties. Adelmo took a moment to appreciate the cozy ambience of his room before unpacking his belongings and neatly organizing them. With a sense of curiosity and adventure, he decided to venture out into the town to explore its hidden gems. Leaving the outskirts of Brasov behind, Adelmo strolled through the picturesque streets, taking in the sights and sounds of the vibrant town. As he meandered through the charming alleys, he couldn't help but notice the excitement in the air. It was then that he discovered the town's most renowned attraction, Dracula's castle. Intrigued by the tales and legends surrounding the castle, Adelmo eagerly joined the crowd of tourists who were capturing the essence of the castle through their camera lenses. Determined to experience the mystique of Dracula's castle firsthand, Adelmo approached the tour group, hoping to secure a spot for the next available tour. Unfortunately, all the slots were already filled. However, his determination paid off as he managed to secure a place on the following tour. With a sense of anticipation, he registered for the tour and glanced at his watch to gauge the remaining time. The tour was scheduled to commence at noon, and as he checked his watch, he realized there was still half an hour to spare. Excited yet patient, Adelmo decided to make the most of this time by exploring the nearby surroundings, eagerly awaiting the moment when he would step foot inside the legendary Dracula's castle.